Thank you guys very much. Um, so the talk title today is You Can Change the World. Do you guys believe that? Yay! And one of the things that's on the cover of our Science Time magazine, and this has been forever, is change your thinking, change your life. And that's what we're about. And the corollary, of course, is change your thinking, change your life, change the world. Because you don't stop with just changing your life. Because every time you just change something in your life, guess what? You've got a sphere of influence that also gets to change. There's like a little pebble that goes in and it just goes out and out and out and out and out. So change is everywhere. And so the power of God within us is like a sleeping giant. This is Ernest Holmes. That must be awakened so that it may spring into action. Because sometimes, I don't know about you, but I go to sleep. Hello? It's like, Madalyn. And sometimes the world will come along and give me a little bump to wake me up. But anyway, we are each an individualized expression of God in a unique way. Each of us is our own special person, our own special gift. And God is in and through us and shows up in miraculous ways all the time. Each of us is like a puzzle piece. And without you guys, my puzzle is incomplete. My husband Gary loves jigsaw puzzles. When I met him, he had one that was 6,000 pieces on the dining room table. I explained to him that I had a cat. The cat won. But it's that peace and that healing within us that's essential that comes out without editing into the world. So that we're respecting, supporting, and loving each other all the time. And we're authentic. We're genuine. We are ourselves. We are true. We're not hiding our beautiful magnificence under a bushel. And when that's the truth, we also have lenses. What lenses are we using to see the world? What do you believe about the world? What do you think's going on? Because we gather evidence unconsciously. We don't think about it, but we're always gathering evidence that supports what we already believe. And the stuff that doesn't support what we believe, we don't notice or we discount. And it's not a bad or a good thing, it's just that's the way we're wired. That's the human part of us. That's what we do. So if believing that the world is a loving, nurturing place is a great ground of being to start from. Now that's been my experience in life. I have enjoyed my time here on this planet, mostly. Not all the time, but mostly. So I come from that ground of being. And so my premise is that we come from that ground of being and we do what we can in this world with what's in our hands. A lot of the stuff that's been on the news, we can pray, we can support, we can give comfort, but we're not there. You do what's in your hands. You pray, you work with what is within your sphere of influence. And when all of us do that, oh my gosh, the magnification, the power of that is exponential. It's huge. And then we do the next most obvious thing. So if you're doing something because you've been called to do it, when you get done with that, guess what? There's going to be something else that's obviously needs to be done and calling to you. And that will be in your hands too. Because if it shows up in your consciousness, there is something that is available to you. And it may be just prayer, which is not it's huge. It may be prayer. It may be a check. There are people I know who've hopped on planes and gone to Florida and gone to Houston, I don't know if you can get to Puerto Rico now. or Mexico. The people going to help. We do what's ours and the next most logical, the next most logical, because there's so much going on. And there's work to be done here, right here in Grass Valley, Nevada City. So we need to trust that God's unfolding within us and that we truly are spirit in human form. And we are divinely guided in each and every moment. And there's a microcosm in us, around us, and it gets bigger and bigger until it's the macrocosm of the universe, the macrocosm of the planet. So as we do stuff in inner work, it's reflected out there as well. So that inner work that we do all the time is so powerful. And Ernest Holmes tells us, we are part of this creative order, and we cannot change our nature. We have to accept the truth, and we should make use of it. We had better use it constructively than destructively, in happiness rather than misery. So sometimes we forget how powerful we truly are, because we've got choice, we've got intellect, we've got purpose, volition, will. We're like amazing creatures. Amazing. Amazing. We have the power to change. Now, is it challenging? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Change is really tough sometimes. But we have the facility to do it. There's a quote from Ernest Holmes, and he talks about there is an irresistible, universal, and divine urge within us to be happy, to be whole, and to express the fullness of life. The latent divinity stirs our imaginations. It's insistent and impels and compels our growth. It proclaims itself through every creative endeavor. It has produced sages, saints, saviors, and will, when permitted, create a world in which war, poverty, sickness, and famine will have disappeared. I would sign up for that. Yes, totally. And I don't know how many of you have read this lately, but there's a quote down here on this flag thing from Buddha. We are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. With our thoughts, we make the world. With our thoughts, we make the world. So how do we change stuff we don't like? We shift our points of view, we change ourselves, we change our beliefs. Not an easy task, but it can be a lot of fun. There's a lot of things that we can do, and I've got a few suggestions. One of the things that I've noticed and have heard about, and Maxine Blakely's service, I think it was last week, I missed it because I was out of town. But there was an echo in that people have said to me that has happened before, and that is, I wish I'd known about all the things she did, who she really was all of her life. She was an accomplished horsewoman, all these other things, because we knew her for a little tiny bit of her life, but she was an amazing woman. But we don't know each other's stories. I'm going to talk to Lanny, see if there's a way we can start telling each other's our stories, because that's what really grows us. And so what I thought I'd do is one of the ways that I believe that we can change our points of view and grow our compassion in the world is travel. And so I want to tell you a little story. When I was 21 years old, I was selected to be an exchange student from University of California at Santa Barbara. So in the summer of fall of 1975, in September, I boarded a charter flight in LAX, and I knew nobody, zippo. And I went to London. And then I spent a year studying at the University of St Andrews in Scotland. And if you're a golfer, you know where that is. And if you're not, it's a really cool place, but it's on the North Sea instead of the Pacific Ocean, so there's a little difference there. But so I did school, but I didn't know anybody, which of course changes as soon as you meet someone and say hi and smile. You guys have all probably done that. And then that year overseas really changed my life. And at the end of my studies, I threw my backpack on, I got my Eurail pass, and I went to the continent, and I knew nobody. And I would get on and off the train where I felt like it. I would go to the youth hostel and stay there, meet a bunch of people, have a great time, and then, I think I'll go somewhere else. Did I know where I was going? No. I got on a train, and at some point I got off. Nobody in the world knew where I was. Obviously, this was before cell phones. It was so amazing to me. And it changed me. I got to know the world in a different way. My point of view about the world was totally different. It was warm, it was accepting, I had confidence. People were wonderful. I had laryngitis in Germany, and it was great because I didn't speak German. Yeah, they just thought, croak, croak. They, people take care of you. I mean, it's amazing. So, and I grew up, at least partway. So that's one way to shift and look at a different way, is change your scene. And it could just be, it could be going to the movies, for heaven's sakes, and seeing a different place, different point of view. The other way to do is to change our beliefs. And this is sometimes tougher, but changing your beliefs, it's so powerful. In 1946, the world record for running a mile was 4 minutes and 4 seconds. All the doctors said that's the best that humans can do. All the runners that had tried to break it said, can't do it. Can't break the 4-minute mile. Not possible. Roger Bannister, he came in 4th in the 1952 Olympics. So he was not happy. So he said, okay, am I going to really go for it and keep running, or am I just going to quit? So he decided to really go for it. So he started training intensely, and he just kept doing it and kept doing it. And he wouldn't quit. He wouldn't quit. And he believed he could break the 4-minute mile. And he tried and tried and failed and failed. And then in May 1954, he ran the mile in 3 minutes, 59 seconds, and then whatever follows that, 4/10. Okay. So he broke the 4-minute mile. And everybody in the whole world had believed it was impossible, except him. So then the next year, 46 days later, another guy did it. And then the next year, 37 guys did it. And then the year after that, there were 300. Hello? The barrier that people had put forth wasn't real. And someone who didn't believe it didn't live it. He could break through that barrier. So how many of the barriers we think are there aren't real? It's not, it's like, everybody says this. Well, what if it's not true? What if it's not the truth? There's magic. So the important thing, too, about the story is you treat, you pray, you have your thoughts, your beliefs, but then, you know what? You move your feet. You don't just sit, I'm so holy. No offense, anybody. I'm so holy, I just pray. Well, I'm going to do something, too. Because Spirit usually tells you to do something as well. It comes in there as well. But, I love to sit and meditate, too. But then it's like, at some point, I do feel this little kick in the butt. And so that's another way that we can change our world, is to look at our beliefs and change our beliefs and question them. It's like, is this really true? Another way is to monitor our consciousness. How many of you have been bombarded by the media? How many of you consciously turn it off? I've been turning it off a lot more than usual. And so it's important to be aware of what's coming into your consciousness. So one of the other ways to do that is to seek out things that will lighten up the thing, your point of view in the world. And that is one of the ways is the Good News Network. You can go online and look for good news. Hello, I want to know something good. There's a woman in Orlando whose father is on oxygen, and so she went to the hardware store to get a generator to make sure that when the hurricane hit, that he could still be able to breathe. So she drove 30 miles to get to the hardware store. She's in line, and the last generator goes to the person in front of her. She bursts into tears. She's practically inconsolable. And then a man named Ramon Santiago steps forward and says, "Take the one I have." And he gave her the generator. Total stranger. Did not know her situation or anything. And of course, she burst into tears yet more and grabbed him and just was so thankful because it was life or death for her father that they have a generator. And as the universe works, the hardware store and the reporter who happened to be there to record all this made sure that he got a generator too. But he acted without thinking. It was that internal urge, that internal spirit. Here, trusting in the universe and going forth and doing what's called for. Because we're all in this together. Human kindness, it's on display in the last, and that's just one of the stories. You know how many stories there are like that in Florida, in Texas, in Mexico, in Puerto Rico, in the whole Caribbean, and oh my God, and places, Louisiana, I'm sure. See, we don't hear about all of it. We don't hear about all of it. But we can do something. So our prayers and our and there's a unity in Houston, that was doing work. So there's so many ways, and the pull will be within us. Another thing that we can do to change our world and our point of view is to change our habits. How many of you have perfectly good habits? Yeah. Oh, one person. Yay! Because, most of us have a few habits that we're going, well, that one's not really a good one, but I've still got it. It's still been with me. Now, habits are one of the things I've been working on, and it's so important. One of the things, some of you have noticed, that I've lost a lot of weight. One of the women, or the woman, I should say, who I found as a guide, her name is Susan Pierce Thompson. And she was born in San Francisco in 1974. And she was a normal-sized teenager. Well, not really. She was a little overweight as a teenager. And she didn't like that. And so she started to diet when she was 12. And then she proceeded to find the perfect solution when she was 14. Drugs. Dropped weight like a stone. Took her down her whole life, dropped out of school. She was always, very, very addicted. And prostitution, everything. But when she was 20, someone took her to a 12-step meeting. Turned her life around. Turned her life around. She went on to get a PhD. She became a psychology professor. She taught for years and years and years. And now she's formed an organization called Bright Line Eating, which, if you want to know about it, come ask me. I'll tell you all you want to know. And so, but she totally changed her life by changing her habits and her beliefs and getting support. Because we are all in this together. If we get up every morning and we're grateful to be awake, what a difference that would make versus getting up. It's like, oh God, I got to get up, or whatever you might say, or I used to say. What spiritual practices do we do every day to support ourselves, to have fun? How much do you laugh? It's like, okay, I need to laugh today. You could give yourself that assignment. I need to be silly. I need to throw a water balloon at someone. Or a cream pie. Oh, no, food's not good. Okay, we don't do food. No food. What?
You don't want to waste it.
Oh, we don't want to waste it. Yeah, but I don't do sugar or flour, so pies aren't good. But anyway, so you know what I mean? It's like, you know what makes you laugh. It could be a funny movie or whatever. That could be a habit that you wanted to, I want to have a habit of laughing every single day. I want that habit. And I want to let go of forgetting to take the trash out. I don't do that anyway, but do I, Gary? You know what I mean? But there's things, and we have the power, and we can reinforce that and go with it. So it's really kind of cool to know that we can change ourselves, and by changing ourselves, that changes the world. It truly does, especially in the accumulation and the exponential. And then Claudette Page showed me this book on Friday. And this quote it's a long quote, so I'm going to ask your indulgence because I wanted to read it. But it's from a book called The American Soul. And so I just thought, anyway. So here you go. Throughout history, ideas of a certain kind and nature have been disseminated into the life of humanity in order to help human beings understand and feel the possibility of the deep inner change that would enable them to serve the purpose for which they were created, namely, to act in the world as conscious individual instruments of God. We are conscious individual instruments of God, the ultimate principle of reality. Ideas of this kind are formulated in order to have a specific range of action on the human psyche, to touch the heart as well as the intellect, to shock us into questioning our present understanding, to point us to the greatness around us in nature and the universe, and the potential greatness slumbering within ourselves, to open our eyes to the real needs of our neighbor, to confront us with our own profound ignorance, our criminal fears and egotism, to show us that we are not here for ourselves, but as necessary particles of divine love. We are necessary particles of divine love. All of you are here on divine assignment. And being yourself is your assignment. Being the love that you are, and doing your work and healing and all these things, and being together in community. That's our divine assignment. So you can travel, change your habits, look at your beliefs, all of these things. And by the way, I don't know how many of you got a good night's sleep last night, but sleep is so important too. How many times have you been upset? It's like, you know what? I just need a good night's sleep. The world looks different when you're rested. It truly does. Everything is shifts. And there are practices that resonate within you that are going to be unique to you that really work, that I have no idea of. You'll dream it up. It'll work out perfect for you. One of the things I've started doing, which is out of a book called Flourish by Martin Seligman. He's into positive psychology and everything. It's like you pick 3 good things that happened during the day. And at night, you pull out your journal, you write down the 3 good things, and then next to the good things, you say why they were good, what meaning it had for you. So you're thinking about it, you're deepening that. You're embracing that gratitude, that good, that richness in your life. 3 good things. That's the part where you should write this down. If you want, or you'll remember. Because that is so powerful. And keep doing it. And it doesn't have to be a big deal. It could be the sun came up. I saw 3 deer walk through my yard. It was my sister's birthday yesterday. I'm so grateful for my sister. It could be anything. No stress. Don't stress about it. But that's the kind of thing that, develops good habits and changes our beliefs. The other thing is there's in the Science of Mind magazine, in this one, The Heart of Peace, Changing the World, there's an article by Mark Gilbert about coming together for peace meditations. So the Centers for Spiritual Living have a lot of things that we could do to get more involved on a bigger scale if we want. There's emails from Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, all sorts of things. But it's what's calling to you, what is echoing in your heart that's important. So, do you believe that we can change the world? I do. I do. Do you believe what you focus on grows and expands? I do. Absolutely. Do you believe you are a powerful, loving, divine being having a human experience? Yes, I do. I believe in all of us changing the world. One thought and an action at a time. Because when we have a thought, oftentimes there's the action right behind it. So often. Catherine of Siena, a 14th century nun, said this: "Be who God meant you to be, and you will set the world on fire." In a good way. She didn't say that part. Because if you're here, do it. Do yourself full out. Yeah. Do Jill. Do Claudette. Do Dave. Do, Mary Lou. Do Dee. Do Dave. Do full out. All of you. Do yourself full out. You're unique. Yeah. You're a unique part. So here's the affirmation for today. I change my world and the world changes. I change my world and the world changes. I change my world and the world changes. One more time. I change my world and the world changes. Namaste.